Hello, it's Tom Donald from the London Contemporary School of Piano. Today we're going to have a Coldplay Clocks walkthrough. We're going to walk through this classic piece by Coldplay that so many of you love to practice and learn on the piano. But today is so much more than just a walkthrough of the piece. So many people try to learn this piece by rote and try and just find some random arrangement on the internet and then try and play it and download the sheet music, and it all sort of goes to tears. They just learn the introduction and that's it. And they don't really learn to go further with a beautiful song like this. And the problem with so much pop music and classic pop music on the piano is that it was designed for a band to play. And we have to sort of transcribe it as a solo piano piece. And there's so many transcriptions available on the web, you're just going to get lost, and then there's really no hope of getting a version of it you're happy with. However, there's a solution to all of these problems, and that's just by learning to understand the groove, the rhythm, and some of the basic theory behind the piece. And then you can find out ways to make your own cover versions of this song and be in the driver's seat of musical creativity. So let's go on this journey together with this wonderful tune. So we're going to start with the iconic introduction. Just those three chords really need no further introduction. People can recognize it straight away. It's such a classic riff to start the song. So what's going on here? We're in the key of E flat major firstly, and three chords are being used. We've got the chord of E flat major in first inversion. We've got a B flat minor chord in second inversion. We play that chord again, we've got another bar of it. And then we have an F minor chord. And it just repeats that over and over again. So we have a bar of E flat major, two bars of B flat minor, one bar of F minor. And it keeps circling over and over and over again like clocks. Like clockwork, no pun intended, hey? So what's the groove behind this piece? What's the rhythm pattern? So it's using those chords, and those chords fit with a scale called the Mixolydian scale. What's that? Well, that's just Greek for playing a major scale and flattening the seventh note. So if I play an E flat major scale, and this is really useful if you want to improvise on the piece, and I definitely suggest you do because it's such a great piece to improvise with. So we've got an E flat major scale. The normal E flat major scale is this. But if we flatten the seventh note, that D becomes a D flat. I don't know, the Mixolydian flattened seventh, it's got that lovely warmth to it. And that's why it's such an irresistible chord progression. So chords that fit this scale, chords like E flat major, see, B flat minor, right? It's a dominant chord. Normally a dominant chord would be B flat major. If I played that chord progression in E flat major, in a pure classical E flat major, it would sound like this. Not quite the same, right? So that minor chord 5, that B flat minor, that derives from that Mixolydian scale. Nice bit of theory there for you. And you can try doing that in other keys. You know, play a C major scale, flatten the seventh note. It just adds that warmth to the music. So we've got these chords, so what's the groove? And the groove is such an important part of this song. And this groove is what I have given this groove a special name, because I've never seen this groove referred to as having a title or a name to it. And it's used in so much contemporary pop music. We hear it all the time. I call this groove the 3+3+2 groove. And it's when you play in a group of 3, in a 3, and then a 2, like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So let's just do a 3+3+2 circling on an E flat major chord, just to demonstrate. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And now we can just accent the ones a bit, just to get a feeling of that downbeat. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. what is groove? I mean, it might just seem very simple that I'm just staying on one chord and you want to go to the next bit, but what is groove? Groove is locking into a state of flow, almost like a Zen-like flow inside the rhythm of the music, and the listener and the performer sort of lock into this feeling together of repetition, of this repetition of the rhythm, and it's truly a wonderful thing. And groove is something that people just don't think about enough with their playing. And as a side point, I have a course called the Groove Everyday course, and you can visit our website, contemporaryschoolofpiano.com, to find out how to purchase this course. It will only cost you a mere $25 US or 20 British pounds, whatever local currency you use. And there's also information on that course in the description below. So if groove is something you want to explore more, and for many of you that probably is something you're going to need to look at. So we're going to apply this 3+3+2 groove now to those chords in the introduction. That's the exact Coldplay introduction. But I have a request to make. Don't just try and copy the original recording. You're not in the studio, you're not trying to copy Coldplay, you're not in a band. You're playing this on solo piano. How do you make your own arrangement of this introduction? So these are some really important concepts I need to show you before we get on to playing more of the song. Like for instance, I was just mirroring the same notes and rhythm in both hands, and that's a really nice way to play it, and it is the classic Coldplay way of playing it. But I could start changing things up a bit. I could have, for instance, just an octave bass in the left hand and play these chords in the right hand. It could be a little bit more bassy, like this. Or I could have arpeggios playing different configurations of notes in the left hand, like octave and fifth interval, rising with that 3+3+2 rhythm, while the right hand is descending, and that will create a nice motion between both hands, like this. For a little less drama, maybe have the hands closer, doing the same thing. Or I could go up an octave and make it a little bit more pianistic and piano-like, or a little bit brighter. Of course, I can do a combination of all of that. And that's just on the introduction. All of these different shades and colours I can bring to the arrangement. And these are things you need to play around with. Don't just go on the internet, buy the sheet music of someone else's arrangement, copy it by rote and have a boring performance. Explore the music. It's so important. And I hope that gives you some ideas. Okay, so there's the melody. So I could just start off by practicing the chords in the left hand as block chords and put the melody in the right hand. Now, one thing you want to be very careful of, you don't want those chords too low. Playing block chords and triads low in the left hand is a no-no. It's muddy. And a lot of internet arrangements I've seen are written like that, which is insanity. This just makes no sense to do that. So have the right hand in the middle register of the piano if you're playing block chords. So let's try this tune with the chords. the style of pop music, it's repetitive. It's a repetitive melody and a repetitive chord structure. So you could put the melody, you could build the melody in octaves, you could change the texture. Or you could even weave some of the chord into the melody to get a bit of a build-up. Let me try that. So already just a couple of ideas there to consider. And of course I might want a bit more movement now from that left hand. So let me bring a bit more movement into that left hand now with that groove. Let's get the left hand groove in. And for many of you, just getting that left hand to groove is going to be a challenge. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, da, 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 da. I was trying to build up that left hand a bit, starting with the groove. Then I started moving the chord around and improvising on it a little bit, just to give it a bit more, I don't know, variation. I wasn't being so strict on my left hand to do the same thing over and over and over again. But admittedly, you know, this is a piece that I could practice in so many different ways. And even the way I just played it then, I wasn't entirely happy with every decision I made on the fly. But I instead gave myself the freedom to think of music like branches on a tree and go, well, maybe I could try it like this, or maybe I could build it up like this. And having those nuances and playing it at different ways when you play it at different times is a really useful way to explore songs such as this. And of course, everyone will recognize those chords at the beginning. So it's a recognizable song straight away. So then we get to the middle section. And in the middle section, there's a brief chord change. We have G flat, D flat, A flat. And that's the middle section. I was just playing very basic triads in the left hand there. G flat major, D flat major, A flat major. I probably should use inversions. That G flat there was getting dangerously low, but it didn't sound muddy just by virtue of the fact that G flat major is such a glorious chord. But honestly, if I was going to get too much lower than that, it was going to get very muddy. So I could use some inversions in the left hand as well, like this. Such a great melody there. So simple. So there's so many things I can do with it. Which brings me on to the topic of improvisation. You want to improvise on these pieces and make your own versions of them. So I'm going to do an exercise now where I'm going to play the chords and I'm going to improvise on that main famous chord progression at the beginning, using that E-flat Mixolydian scale. And then when I get to the middle section, I'm going to improvise on that as well. Wish me luck. Let's see what happens. So I'm not going to play any melody now. I'm going to have a run through the musical material with improvisation. In that right hand, I was just abiding by the notes in that scale. And I'll add the melody now. Improvisation. I mean, I could go on all day with all of the different options, but I was trying to build a performance of the piece there, weaving the melody in with the improvisation. Had the change in the middle, so I went back to the melody, and then I started getting more dramatic, moving into the bass. And I could play it in different ways, depending on the ways I want to explore the piece. I have a recording of me actually playing this piece in the highest building in London, at the London Shard. I did a piano recital there a few years ago, and you can visit my Bandcamp page if you'd like to have a listen to that recording I did of Clocks. I actually mashed it up with another song that reminds me of London, A Nightingale Sang in Berkeley Square. And the two songs have very little in common other than the fact they're in the same key. So if you'd like to listen to that recording, you can actually stream it directly from my Bandcamp page or buy my Live at the Shard album. I don't just teach piano, I do perform occasionally, you know, so you're more than welcome to check out some of my own stuff. But I want to encourage you to build that imaginative mindset into your playing, that organic, creative, holistic, DIY, play with the material in the music, play with the chords, play with the scales, play with the textures. Don't just obsess over the end game of having this perfect performance, which, by the way, you'll never get. There's no such thing as a perfect performance. Move inside of the music. Think more like the artist and less like the replicator that just parrots music back from a score, because it doesn't work in pop music to parrot music back from a score. I know some of you in the comments are going to say, can you just write down the notes of what you just played? No. You need to think for yourself. That's what I'm encouraging you to do, and you can do it. And there are so many ways you can do it. And one of the first ways you can think for yourself, if you really struggle to build that bridge in moving into a more creative musical zone, just visit our website, contemporaryschoolofpiano.com, ask about our Groove Mastery course, or you might want to ask about our Complete Musician course, which goes the full length into the movement of music creativity. Or you might just want to ask for our free resources pack, which is a great accompaniment to these YouTube videos. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Have fun with this beautiful piece, and let's make music together. Thank you.